Welcome, 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 welcome to our episode of the Six Figure Author SoundStage podcast. I am super excited to be here on this evening. I'm so glad that you could join us. We have a special guest. Yes, we have a special guest this evening, and I'm telling you, it is going to be fire. Guess what? I am currently here at the Tampa Convention Center in sunny Tampa, Florida, here because I've been presenting at the 45th annual Blacks in Government National Training Institute. And I'm super excited because this is what we do as authors. We do book signings. As authors, we have speaking engagements, but I have a special guest today. So get your pen out so you can take some copious notes. Please put in the chat what city and state you're coming in from. I see you coming in. So put in the chat what city and state you're coming in at, and share. Please share the broadcast with your friends, your family. And so let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to go ahead and let my special guest introduce herself. So welcome, 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 author Nanette Buchanan. How are you this evening?
I'm great. I'm great. And thank you for inviting me, even though you're in a special place. That's so important. That's so important for us to be able to extend our wings a little bit. So congratulations. Congratulations. My name is Nanette Buchanan, and I am an author, published since 2007. And I do fiction normally. I also have children books. I have a self-help book, as well as what I love, murders and mysteries. So I call it reality fiction. And the reason I call it reality fiction is I take stories of what goes on today and turn it into the what if, the why, the what would I do, the how would you do, the things that we ask questions about. And often we don't get the answers from those that are involved because it becomes gossip, it becomes rumors, it becomes all of the other things. But sometimes we need it for healing. Sometimes we need to read into some of the stories because some of those stories are us and
Mm,
we need that. So that's my purpose for writing.
wow, that was amazing. And I love the fact that you are diverse. You didn't just stick with one genre and say, okay, I'm going to write all children's books, or I'm going to write all this. And we have HT Media on. Welcome, HT Media. Thank you for joining HT Media, Hidden Treasure. She's also known as Hidden Treasure. And she also has a YouTube channel as well. And she's an author. But yes, Nanette, I love that because a lot of people just try to stick to one thing. And you don't have to stick to one thing. You can be
Yeah.
diverse,
Mhm.
especially we're talking about like this is the Six Figure Author podcast, right? And if you think about other authors, and I'm talking even $1 million authors, most people don't
Mhm.
know this. A lot of them write under different pen names so that they could write under different genres. So they don't
Mhm.
have just one. Like, I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard of Nora Roberts, Nanette?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Nora Roberts, did you know she has like 3 or 4 different pen names that she writes under?
Yes.
See?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I love that. And this is why I like to share. People just don't know that. If you are watching in the chat, let me know. Did you know that several authors write under different pen names and they
Mhm.
write under different genres? Let me know. Put yes or no, yes or no. But because I want to get you all involved too. But yes, yes, yes. So the diversity brings just really, really um, creativity to me when
Mhm.
you're an author because we're not just one-sided, right? We're creative beings. God created us to create and to be creative beings. So I just want to say I love the fact that you have a diverse set of books and you don't write under just one genre. So you told us the reason why you wrote your books. So which one is your favorite genre? What would you say is your
My
favorite?
favorite is the mystery and the suspense. I hate those books or the movies or the plays where you sit and you can figure out what the ending is. If I
Wow.
can figure out what the ending is, it's no purpose for me to read it. It's no purpose for me to write it. I feel that I've been shafted into just watching what's going on and being in the creative realm. I'm creating all kind of obstacles that could have went around and had the people wondering, hey, what if?
Mm.
I love the what if because as individuals, we all have different endings to sometimes the same situation.
Wow.
We all have a different way of handling certain situations.
Wow.
So if we do, then that means that every story, every romance shouldn't end happily ever after without a question mark. Every murder mystery should not go solved without a question mark. There may be another way to find the unison that we think shouldn't be, the love that we think would never work, the answers that we think would never arrive. Why not turn them into that? Hey, this is a different turn. This is a different way. So that's how I write my stories.
Wow.
I have two stories that individually have turned into a series. My other stories, you could very well look at the stories and say, well, wait a minute, this could have happened or that could have happened. But isn't that how life is? Isn't that how we associate with others? Where we could say they could have done this or they could have done that, or this was a way for them to gain, or this was a way they could have lost.
Right.
So I want to write reality.
Mhm.
Reality is not a dead end where you always know the ending. It's not that.
Wow. I love what you said. If we know the ending. I was watching a movie with someone the other day, and it was like a very, very unexpected plot twist. We was like, oh, we weren't expecting that. And
Exactly.
yes, and so I get it. You're right. It's like, okay, well, because I'm really, really good at predicting, like, oh, this is going to
Exactly.
happen next. This is going to happen next. But when it's a plot twist, I'm like, okay, they really got me. This is a really
And
good.
that's what makes your audience. That's what brings your audience in for more because
Yes.
now they know that you have a plot twist. How many times have we watched Lifetime on television and said, "Oh my goodness." You sit back and wonder, wait a minute, there's got to be a part 2. You automatically get into that. I love that. I love that.
And this was a Lifetime movie, and that's what it was so funny. And it, like I said, it had a total
Mhm.
like, wow, we didn't expect that at all. So yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. So I'm glad that that is your favorite genre, and that the reason why you shared that. I really, really appreciate that. When I was little, I used to love this show called Murder She Wrote, and
Yes.
you
Yes.
remember that? Did you ever watch
Yes.
Murder She Wrote? If you watch Murder She Wrote, put in the chat. Even if you're watching the replay, put in the chat that you used to love Murder She
Yes.
Wrote. And so it was like you say, it's the mystery. People, it's like something about mysteries that make people think, and like you say, draw people to this. Oh, this is unknown. It's this
And you could
mystery.
have the romance in it. You could have the arguments in it. You could have the murder in it. You could have all of that, but at least put a twist in it where the
Right.
audience is sitting back going, "Wait a minute." That draws them in. I want your attention all the way from page 1 all the way to the end. I don't want you putting the book down or jumping to the end and then
Wow.
saying, I knew what that book was going to be about. Because we have those type readers too that jump, from the first page and then they go to the end thinking that they're going to catch on to what the story is in between. Not
Wow.
with my books. Not with my
Wow.
books. You're not going to catch on. You're not
So,
going to catch on.
so exactly, how many books do you have?
I have, as of date, my last book just released August 1st. So as of date, I have now 15 books. Mhm,
Wow, that is
mhm.
phenomenal. So put in the chat, congratulations, 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 congratulations on your new release for August the 1st. And keep writing them, because keep writing them, keep putting them out. Now, are your books currently in any bookstores?
They're not in, well, they're in bookstores online, but they're
Mhm.
not in any brick and mortars.
Okay.
I recently, well, not recently, but 6 years ago, I moved from New Jersey to North Carolina. So I had to get readapted to where I am to go around to the brick and mortars and everything. But we all know within the last 6 years, we've had COVID. And I also am a cancer patient who's now in remission. So during that 6 years, I was battling cancer while everybody else was battling COVID. And I was battling the fact that, am I going to write and what am I going to do? But this year has been rewarding because they told me, hey, we can't find any more cancer. And I said, well, that's my cue to keep running. So,
Amen.
so my saying is I didn't retire to cancer. And during that cancer journey, I had a one-on-one talk to myself and a one-on-one talk with God. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? You brought me this far. What do you want me to do? And one of the things was keep advocating and keep writing.
I
So I
just heard
wrote
like
my
4
first
different book
book.
titles. I
My
literally,
I wrote my first book, Managing Your Madness, in that era, because everybody has madness that overtakes them
wow,
during a time of depression, during a time of stress, during a time of questions that never get answered.
wow,
You go through this aggravation and everything else. And when writing it, I thought about the people that had road rage. I thought
wow,
about the people that have I can't function without that cup of coffee.
right,
All of that is a internal madness that we have to let
wow.
go in order to move on, in order to get better. You got to move on. And after I wrote that book,
Uh-huh.
I was able to write another novel. I was
Wow,
able to write 2 children books, and
wow.
I was able to write the book that I'm writing now and the next book that I'm editing. So it just was a catalyst to say, it ain't over. It ain't over. Just keep pushing. It ain't over. So, hey,
Well,
it's a
praise be to
blessing.
God. Yes,
It's a
praise be to
blessing.
God who always causes us to triumph. And we thank God for you walking in your divine healing. And I declare and decree that you are continuously healed in Jesus' name.
Yes, yes. Amen, amen,
Yes.
and amen. Yes.
Now, do you currently do any speaking, or do you speak at like any
I do speaking
conferences or?
engagement. Whenever someone calls me to speak, I'm there. The last speaking engagement I did that while going through cancer. I did it for a group called Her here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and they collect money for different organizations, different female organizations, and different things. And I spoke about the journey. What's
Wow.
your destination? Where are you going? And if your destination is success, how are you gonna get there? What are you gonna do?
Right.
So I have developed, prior to retiring, my line of work was in corrections. I was a sergeant in the Department of Corrections,
Wow.
and in that department I did training and everything else for the officers, as well as speaking in the community,
Wow.
trying to redirect our youth, trying to give inspiration to our adults. So I speak on a lot of topics. It's just a matter of connecting with those organizations that need those speaking.
Awesome. 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 Okay. Now, tell me a little bit about your children's book. Like, so what
My
age group is
children's
it
book is
for?
I'm so happy about this children's book. Like I said, during the pandemic, I wrote Heaven Sent Kisses, which is a book for family. It's a children's book, but it's a book for family to talk about death. We don't always talk to children about death. And in that particular book, Amira, who is 5 years old, loses her grandmother to a long-time disease. So she's been with her grandmother since she was a baby. She's been with her grandmother, making the sandwiches for her to go to school and daycare. But she's also been with her as she goes through her journey of sickness. And during the repast, what do we do with the children? We tell them, go sit down, be
Mm,
quiet. We don't talk to them. So
right.
she friends a caterpillar, and she talks to the caterpillar about Nana. And she tells
Oh,
she tells the caterpillar all about Nana. And when the caterpillar begins to transition,
oh no.
that's how Amira felt. I'm losing
Oh,
the caterpillar. I lost Nana. What's going on? And ironically, the family does like everybody else does. We still don't talk about the death. We talk better about the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And that's when Amira tells the family, that's what Nana did. She gained her wings. So
oh,
that book is more of a thing for calming the spirit of the children so that the children do not fear people being sick, people transitioning, because it's a part of life. And it's something that we don't talk enough about to our children. But my latest children's book, it makes me so happy to present Growing Up ABCs, because as we all know, ABC books turn into frisbees. After the kids learn how to say the ABCs, they automatically throw the book around because they don't need it anymore. Well, in this book, you're going to need it because, as you can see, F, what it's for, the words it stands for, the pictures and everything. But then I have who you can be. F, who you can be, a firefighter. Then I have who you are, fabulous, fair, faithful. So for every letter, I give that mantra, I give that idea of what they can be. And these are words that they know, they just don't know how to spell them. So this is something that not only goes for the toddler, it also goes for the preschooler and the kindergarten and the first grade. And you begin to develop something that they can work with. So
Wow.
that's my children's books. That's my children's books. And I am most proud of them because of the simple fact that not only that, we as African Americans don't see enough of us in books. So the characters in the book are multiracial so that we can see that, yes, we can be a firefighter. Yes, we can
Yes.
be an EMT.
Yes.
Yes, we could be, the zookeeper. We could be whatever the letter is, we can be. So
Amen.
I like that idea as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love that. It's like we get visions, dreams, and goals all the time. And like you said, I believe when a child looks at a book, they should say, I want to see someone that looks like me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a dream of being an astronaut or something my grandson says, and I don't even know how to pronounce it, that he wants to be something that studies, you know, uh, uh, a certain type of animal or study
Mm-hmm.
dinosaurs
Mm-hmm.
or study, so it's like if they don't see anyone that look like them,
They
they
think
can
it's
just,
not for them. That's right. That's right. And I
right,
wanted to make sure that I covered things that they just didn't even know what they were. Like who takes care of the zoo?
right,
Who takes care of the x-rays?
right.
Who does that? So those are things that I wanted to express that on any level they could be that way. And also, while they're small, well, what are you?
Mm,
You're zealous, you're into things, you're zealous about things, you're aware, you're fabulous, you're great. These things, if you instill it in them as they're growing up,
right,
so they don't look for someone else to tell them, they've already read it, they've already
right.
heard it, and they heard it at a young age. So that's what I wanted to do with the ABC book.
So you currently have two children's books out of the
I have
16
I
books.
have three children's books. Marcus the Great was done a couple of years ago. Marcus the Great is a little boy. He has a box haircut, so he's one of us. He has a box haircut, and he's a magician. And he realizes that he lost some of his magic, and he didn't realize where it is. So Marcus goes through searching through himself to find out that the magic is within. So I try to write all of my children books with a moral behind it. I try to make sure that all the children books have something where they can fall back on a moral of some type.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Wow, it's interesting because children, they want more. A lot of
Yes.
times
Yes.
they want the information. And if
Mhm.
we just get them to encourage them to read more and we can encourage them to really go after their dreams, I believe that all of those things and all of those obstacles they come against, books can give them the tools
Exactly.
in order to want to go further, in order to do more, have more, and be
A-
more.
And not only that, that's what draws them into the internet.
Absolutely.
Wanting to know more information, the excitement in learning, the excitement in challenges, the excitement in all of that. That's what draws them in. So if we give them books that can draw them in, or even teach them literacy where they write, where
Right.
they begin to journal, where they begin to put down their thoughts, where they begin to create. All of that is a part of the literacy that we can give them, but we got to share it with them at a young age. We got to share it at a young age.
Absolutely. Yes. And we want to encourage them to start liking to read at an early age. Give
Exactly.
them time out. Don't just let them play with the computer all day. Don't just let them watch television all day, especially in the summertime. Give them books to read in the summertime. Get them just really liking to read and making reading a habit so that
Mhm.
because it helps them to grow and really like my daughter really liked reading when she was younger, and she even liked reading like the dictionary, and so she had this larger vocabulary than the average child her age. Plus, she went to a Christian school, a private school, so and she her relating to her was like she talked to a lot of adults because she just had
Mm-hmm.
this expanded vocabulary because she read a lot. And so I just really think books are not only for adults, but it should be for
It
children,
should be
it
for.
should be
Yes.
for
Yes.
teens. I don't think we have enough books in the teen genre that
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of children's books, and then there's a lot of adult books, but I think we need to have a lot more
Yes,
teen books.
that's my next venture, to try to get a series or a book or two in the tween age, because the
Yeah.
tween age is where they're trying to discover who they are, and they're trying to attach it to who they were, or
Yeah.
attach it to others, and that's where the confusion comes in for most children. So I want to write into that genre, but things change so fast in that age
They
that you got to
do.
keep up with the language, you got to keep up with all of that. And hey, I'm now a grandmother, so I'm like, you said what? You know,
Woo.
I'm turning around to what you say, So I got to get into that mode of, writing it. And I don't want it to be just the fantasy. I
Right.
don't want it to be the fantasy or science fiction. I want it to be just like the books that I'm doing. I want it to be something where they can relate to it, where it happens in their era and it happens in their school or in their home. I want it to be the same way. So that's something I'm working on, but I haven't gotten it down pat yet. But I'm going to get to it because I want it to be that young adult transfer over. I just told my granddaughter, you're now into pre-adulthood. You're not going to be in it long, because as soon as you pick up your responsibilities, you'll be an adult. So you got to go into, your sophomore in college. It's time. And she's like, "Oh, I don't understand." Yes, you do. It's time for you to do you to do these things. So it's a learning process for them. It's a learning process.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, and it's something that I have been working on as well because I know that that's a need, something for teenagers, and they
Hmm.
kind of like feel like they don't fit in anywhere, like, oh, I'm too old for a children's book, and
Yes.
then I'm too young to read this adult book. So they feel like they don't fit in sometimes. So I really, really love when God gave me the vision and He really showed me that there was a need. If you're just coming on the podcast, come on. I have here with me author Nanette Buchanan. Please give me a thumbs up and like the broadcast and share it with someone who wants to hear about this amazing author who is sharing some great information with us. We're going to have some fun. And I just really love interviewing authors because authors, again, are so creative. If you're an author, please put in the chat as well that you're an author. And if you want to be featured on the Six Figure Author SoundStage podcast, definitely let me know. But authors are very, very creative. So when you were little, did you always want to write, or did you,
I
what
didn't
age?
discover I didn't discover how young I was when I started writing. I
Okay.
thought that I had started writing in college. I had a music class that I didn't need to take. And they told me I had to take this music class to go to the next music class, but I had already had 6 years of music through high school and
Wow.
grammar school. I had already done music. So I knew the notes, I knew percussion, I knew how to write music. I knew all of that because I had already had theory. I had already done everything. But Rutgers said, you got to take this class. So instead of skipping the class and just going to take the test, I decided that that would be an opportunity to sit and relax from the college atmosphere. Instead of
Mm,
going to the library or whatever, just go to the music class. You already know what it is. So you just go
right.
there and relax. Well, in my relaxation, I started writing poetry. And
Wow.
then from
Okay.
writing poetry, I started writing children's stories. But I was
Wow.
writing them for myself because it was just to relax. So I thought I started writing my college years.
Mm,
When my mother passed, I found that I had written a few poems to her. I
wow.
had written letters to her when I was well below the college age. So I had started writing when I was young and didn't have any memory of writing poems or writing, instead of buying a card, I would write a card to her, with a poem in it. And I had no idea and she would always ask me, well, who wrote that? Who wrote that? And I would tell her I wrote it. But the thing is, I guess because she didn't push it or she didn't question it or believe maybe that it was mine, it wasn't something that stuck with me. I always thought that I started then, but when she passed away and I found all of these little writings and all this little stuff, so wow, I've been writing a while. So yeah, always been a pastime for me. It was always a pastime.
Okay, awesome. Now, that's interesting when you talk about writing for your mother and just kind of really, oh, it's a pastime. Have you with poetry? Do you have any poetry books, or have you thought
I
about?
have 3 volumes of poetry that have been copywritten,
Okay.
and I'm putting out my first poetry book probably by the end of this year as well. Well, the poetry book was done, but I'm redoing it. I decided that I wanted to add pictures to the poetry book. And I think that that's going to go over well simply because it gives someone a vision of what, as a poet, I'm looking at, or what they may be looking at, or what it may grab their attention a little bit more. So even though it's a poetry book that has adult, poems in it, and it's really not a children's book, but it's an adult poetry book, it still would attract someone's attention in a different way. So I want
Right.
to see how it goes over in a different way. But I do have 3 volumes of poetry.
Awesome, awesome. Well, congratulations on that. I know people love poetry books. My father actually has a poetry book. He actually was writing before I ever thought about writing a book.
Mhm.
And I really think, again, poetry is art. Writing is art. Again, when I talked about being creative, writers, authors are really not only the authority, because authority, the root word for authority is author. So not only are we the authority of whatever we are writing in the area that we're writing in, but we're also just artists in our own right.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
when people think of artists, they don't always think of art, um, books, authors as being artists, but we really are, because we're still using a creative side of
Mhm.
us in order to get our work out, right? This creative work.
Exactly.
So I'm
Exactly.
just really, really excited about authors. I'm excited about the work that authors do. I'm excited about really people doing what they love. Like there are a lot
Mhm.
of authors that are out here that still work a job and they don't really like what they do. And so I try to encourage authors, look, go after your dream. If you want to be a full-time author, speaker, and coach,
Mhm.
go after what you want. Don't just sit around and say, oh, well, I have to work this job and I have
Exactly.
20, 30
And
books.
not only that, make the plans. Your life is almost your book. It's your book.
Wow.
So make the plan to do what you need to do. I had planned on retiring 10 years before I retired. I already
Wow.
had it outlined where I was going. I'm moving, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And make sure you make it fit. Don't make it where you're going out. I mean, unless you're really in that hustle, hustle, hustle mood, don't go out and don't have any money and you selling a book to pay for your meal. Make sure that you go out with a plan, a marketing plan, a publishing plan, what you need to do. There's steps to this. What a lot of people don't understand as authors is that I find is when they come to me and they say, well, I want to write a book. And then when you tell them, well, what are you going to do after the book is written?
Mm, that's good.
What are the plans after? Okay, I understand you want to write this book. You want a cover, you want all of the other stuff that's needed. You want everything that's needed to make this book work.
Hmm.
But what are you going to do after the book is written?
Right.
Are you going to put it out and put it in a format for others to read it?
Right.
Well, what's your plan for promotion? What's your plan for marketing? What's your plan for demonstrating who you are? What do you plan on doing? Because after you are that author and after you are that writer, if you're into self-publishing or trying to find a publishing agent or trying to find a publishing house, it becomes a business.
Wow.
And you got to know that it's not just I wrote a book and now everybody's buying it. It doesn't happen like that.
Right.
Usually your first 100 people are people you know.
Right.
Now, what are you going to do to attract the other 100?
Right.
What are you
Right.
going to do to keep the other 100?
Right.
So you have to know that it's a journey. It's not a destination. It's a journey. And you have to be ready to take the journey.
Absolutely. What would you say is the number one book marketing tip or strategy that you would give a new author that's saying, hey, my book is coming out in 2 weeks? What would you recommend them do?
I would recommend them to contact everybody you can and let them be the outlet. We're the outlet for Walmart. What do? We go to Walmart and we buy something great or we get something on sale. What do? We go and tell somebody else. You know what I mean? If we know
Yeah.
that there's a sale, what do? You pick up the phone and say, "Girl, there's a sale going on." Let your audience help you, push you, and keep your audience. There are people that have read my book, my very first book, that are still buyers of my books.
Yes.
Keep your audience. Make sure you stay in touch with your audience. Don't become so disconnected. Don't become to the point where you think, "Oh, I'm writing books. I ain't got time to be on social media." Social media is where you need to be.
Come on.
You
Say
you
that
need to
again.
you need to be promoting on your. If you got 3,000 friends on social media, you need to have 3,000 promotions going out for your social media friends. You got 4 or 5 pages, that needs to be on all 4 or 5 pages. You need to be promoting it because that's what we do. That's how Walmart made their name. They didn't make their name because the man from Walmart stood there and sold everything.
Right.
We helped them sell. So you need to know that for your customers. Know that with your customers.
Right, right, right. Amen. Amen. I love that because a lot of authors don't market. And you just said that, like, they don't even know what's next. They don't even think about the marketing piece with the
Mm-mm.
book when they're writing the book. Some of them even tell me, they're like, well, I only wrote the book because God told me to. Well, He told you to write the book so that you can get it out to the nations,
So
right?
you could get it out. That's
So you
right.
could get
That's right. So you
so
could you
you
could you
could
could
get it
do what
out.
you have to do. And if you've
Right.
written a very good book, it will sell itself.
Yes,
The
I
book will
agree.
sell. All you have to do is point people in the right direction. You have
I
to you
agree.
you have to tell them where they have to go, where they can buy it, what they can do, and be professional. Don't have, half your information. I've been to so many places, especially doing podcasts. I've been to so many places where I've asked people, "Hey, I'd love to have you on a podcast. Do you have a business card? Do you have information?" No email address, no
Wow.
website, no
Wow.
phone number. How am I supposed to get in touch with you?
On social
Oh, well, I
media.
have my book. Well, I'm not here to buy your book. I'm here to put you on a podcast so you could sell more books.
Mm,
So, what information do I need from you?
right.
And then don't be lazy. Every call that you get may be that call that you need. So, even if you have to just go through who it is that's calling you, at least you answer the call.
Right.
Don't think that everybody's out to scam you. There's a lot of scammers, but not everybody's out to scam you.
That's true.
So you contact somebody, they contact you. You might not know them, you might remember them from a face, but you might not know them. You can always take the information and look them up and look to see what they're
Amen.
doing. That might be your door opener.
I love something you said. You said, don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy.
You cannot be a lazy author.
Mm-mm.
And because the reality is, well, let me go back to the good book, my favorite book. The Bible says the hand of the diligent maketh rich.
Yes.
And it talks about the lazy, and that it's going to
Yes.
bring them poor, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to remember that when we are working on these books, when we are working on the projects, the things that we need to be working on so that we can have more, be more, and do more, we can't be lazy with it. We can't just do, like you said, a piece of it. We can't go haphazardly doing things and, oh, I'll do it later. Procrastination. So yesterday, like I said, I'm here at the Blacks in Government Conference, and yesterday I taught one of the workshops that I presented was called Developing Discipline so that you can do more. And
Yes.
so when you write a book, one, you need to have discipline to get it done, because a lot of people start books and then they tell me they don't finish them. We don't need you to just be a starter. We need you to be a finisher, right? So if you're
Exactly.
listening to this podcast, I want you to say to yourself, repeat after me, I am a finisher.
Exactly.
Yes, and so we have to make
Exactly.
sure when you're lazy, a lot of times you don't finish the things that you need to finish. So when you said that part, I wanted to fall out my chair. You was like, "Don't be no,
Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. And not
don't
only that,
be
I always ask
lazy."
the person that says, well, it took me 10 years to
Oh
write
my
this
goodness,
book. No,
we're
it
not
did
even gonna talk
not.
about
It
that.
took you 10 years to get your mind disciplined to finish it. It doesn't take 10 years.
It
People ask me
doesn't.
all the time, well, you wrote this, and this in this amount of time. I spend at least 2 hours a day
Mm,
working on something that pertains to my books. Now,
wow.
that means at least 2 hours. It doesn't mean that I stop at 2 hours. It just means that I put in at least 2 hours. That means answering my emails. That means putting posts on my social media sites. That means checking out people that might have contacted me. That means contacting people for my podcast. That means doing other things. And then I might be doing pre-edits before it goes to my editor, or writing in the next book, or finishing up different things. There's a whole lot that you can do to promote yourself.
Right.
Now, me being retired, I have a whole day. There are some people that work, and that's the first thing they say to me. Well, you're not working, you have all day. I started in 2007. I
Mm,
didn't retire until 2018.
right.
However, in 2018, I had 9 books done.
I know that's
So
right.
where's the separation in that? Where's the separation in that?
Right.
I still was doing 2 hours a day. We spend 2 hours a day sitting watching television.
Say that again. Or scrolling social media,
we
or
do
playing
we do
video
2 hours.
games, or
Devoted to what you want. Devoted to what you want. You
and I'm
want a
gonna say
book
this.
done? Then you need to devote the time to what you want. Set up a calendar. Today I'm going to do this. Tomorrow I'm
Mhm.
going to do that. And devote your time. If you do 2 hours in 3 nights, you do 6 hours of writing. 3 nights, just three
Right.
nights.
Right.
If you did 6 hours of writing a week, in a month's time, you'd have how many chapters done?
A lot.
2 hours
More than what you had before.
more, and it
And it,
wouldn't take you 10 years.
and
It
it
would
would not. It took me
it would
30
not take
days
you
to write
10
my first
years.
book. 30 days. I tell people it took me 30 days to
It
write
does
my
not
first
take
book.
that long if you devote the time.
And I want to add this. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Why
I
is
thought
it
you
that
had more because you did more than I did. So I thought you had more.
we all have the same 24 hours in a day? Why is it that some people produce more and some people don't? So look, we have to analyze what we're doing with that 24 hours, and we
Exactly.
have to be honest with ourselves,
And
and
be honest. That's
be
right.
honest with ourselves
That's right.
and
You
hold
can even spend
ourselves.
it researching how to market, research how to put research. You could use the time doing all of that. You're making excuses for, like you said, being lazy. You're making the excuses. Oh, it took me 10 years. Well, if it took you 10 years to write the book, how long is it going to take you to market it? If it took you that time to market it, it's hard. It's hard.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I can hear you now. For some reason, you went out for a second. It's okay. But yeah, yeah, no, seriously, we're just going to keep, um, we're just going to keep going ahead and uh, move forward and just do what we need to do in order to make things happen.
We have to. We have to, because if we don't, you can be stagnant if you want to, but then that means that your mission is stagnant. That means that what you're
That's a
doing
good.
is stagnant.
Wow.
If you become stagnant in what you do or what you
Right.
lay out, that means there's a delay in your publishing, there's a delay in your production. And then when someone asks you to come to their event or come to their this is another thing that I spoke about at the last event that I did. I was the headliner, and in speaking, I had to tell people, if you got that one book on the table and that one book is not selling,
Wow.
you leave the event 2 hours early because you didn't make any sales. I never put my expectations on how many sales I'm going to sell at a particular venue. Just being at the venue and meeting people sometimes is your sale.
Mm.
Because I used to go to events where the bigger authors were there. I was the little laid back author with one or two books, and you had the Donna Hills, you had the J.M. Benjamins, you had big authors, you know, um, big people that were writing books on top of books on top of books on top of books.
Right.
Well, most people come to those events to see them.
Right.
Now, they take your card or they take your information. That does not mean you won't get a sale later on.
Mm.
So you sitting there and not being interacting with them as they come to your table. You're not interacting with them when you're looking like you're bored. Instead of, hey, how you doing? Introducing
Right.
yourself. You have to be that person that introduce yourself. And then when you strip your table 2 to 3 hours before the event is over, do you really think that the person is going to invite you back?
Absolutely not. You know what's so funny? Like I said, the conference I'm at is like 4 days. Tomorrow's the last day, Thursday. And I literally have only 4 books left. I sold out of almost everything. When my
Hmm.
Daily Dose of Declarations book sold out. And I said, I'm going to still come back tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm still going to be there.
Because you don't
And
know who might go home and still want to order your book. They remember what you spoke about, what your workshops might have been about. There's different things that you give to the audience other than just your book. Your presentation, the way your table looks,
absolutely.
everything speaks volumes. And you have to create that presence. people
Absolutely.
people know who I am when I come in. Oh, hey, I remember you.
Right.
That's what I want. I want
Right.
them to remember me. I want them to know
Absolutely.
who I am. And if you don't create that type of presence, then why should they go on Amazon to get your book? Why
Right.
should they come to your website to get your book? Why should they
Right.
want to be a friend with you on social media if on
Absolutely.
social media all you doing is talking about somebody else?
Wow, that's so good. Oh my goodness, Nanette. No, it's the truth. It's really the truth. And yeah, we gotta even pay attention to what we're saying on social
What are
media
you
because
saying?
you're attracting that energy. What type of energy are you putting out? Is it always negative?
Exactly. If I
Are you
can't
always
help you,
complaining?
I have nothing to say about you. If I can't put in a word of sister, love, sharing, or something that's going to promote you,
Right,
why am I putting something on there that's going to downgrade you?
right.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you a
Absolutely.
word of inspiration. I try to write a word of inspiration every day, even if it's just about me. Now, I'll talk about me. I'll tell
Right,
you all of my flaws, but I'm not going to get on there and try to talk about somebody else and what they're not doing and how they're not doing because I don't know what their story is. Everyone
right,
has a story,
right.
and we don't know what their story is or what they're going through. So I'm not
Absolutely.
going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Wow. So Nanette, tell us, how can someone connect with you? How can they
They
connect
could
with you?
connect with me on my website, www.nanettembbuchanan.com, or they can contact me through my email, which is ipendesigns@gmail.com. They can contact me there. And by all means, my latest book just came out last week, Zip Code Injustice. By all means, by all means. This book is going to speak volumes. I swear and decree, praying it to God, because let me just tell you something. I worked in the Department of Corrections and I saw a whole lot on both sides.
Mm.
I saw a whole lot with our people being incarcerated that shouldn't have been there. I saw some of us that should have been there and shouldn't have never got out. I saw some of us that just couldn't turn their lives around and didn't care. And I'm not just talking to inmates. I'm talking about people that were workers there, people that had, problems and different things. So I saw a lot of life. That's putting it in a nutshell. I saw a lot of life, the positive and the negative. However, when we have problems like the Floyds and the Michael Browns and the Black Lives Matters and all of that, a lot of people are yelling about what the cops do or what the cops don't do. And what they don't understand is sometimes you don't know behind the scenes. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes and how corrupt sometimes just the elements of the rules. Some of these rules, and now that we're in the presidential race and everything else, you can see where the rules just don't make sense. And they're not equal for everybody. Well, zip code injustice is the second in my Damian Tyson series. Damian Tyson is a detective, and he has now found himself in the cold case unit. And they think that the cold case unit will keep him quiet because he's one of those officers that goes around and says, hey, did you get that right report? Hey, did you do this right? Hey, we can't do this. Hey, that's against the rules. He's one of those type people. And
Wow.
they figured that the powers that be have arranged where, because of his last investigation, which was a previous book in the series, they now put him in the cold case unit, figuring that's going to shut him down. But when he gets to the cold case unit, he finds that according to certain zip codes, there's more crime
Wow.
and there's more missing information. There's reports that are not filed. There's
Mm.
things that have been changed since the court dates. And people have gone to jail without the proper documentation or the proper documentation for them to even put in appeals.
Wow.
So when he puts it in a report, it stirs the pot. And when it stirs the
Mm-hmm.
pot, the group that he has labeled the untouchables are now coming after him again. So I
Wow.
always just ask the question, what's your zip code? Are you familiar with what goes on in your area? Are you familiar with what goes on in your
Wow.
area? Because it doesn't have to take a big crime for you to know that, hey, I went to motor vehicle and they told me I owed tickets and I never drove that car. But now they want you to
Wow.
pay the fine. Well, that's a part of zip code injustice. That's a
Wow.
part of what goes on. And what does the money go to? Who is the money going to? Who gets promoted in all of those things?
Girl, don't get my live shut down now, okay? Look,
So those are the things,
look, because sometimes
details
the truth.
in a fictional way, but it kind
Okay.
of opens the light on, do we need to pay attention to what's going on in our zip code? Do we need to know, hey, it's not like the old days where you used to know the cop that was, your neighborhood cop. You don't
Right.
have a neighborhood cop anymore. You
But you
don't.
know what's so interesting is that start with the zip code, like you said. People are really oblivious to what's really going on in this world, let alone
Mm-hmm,
their zip code, let alone
mm-hmm.
their street. And so I believe the more people you make aware of this book, it will be an eye opening, because they're like, well, if this is going on in my street, in my neighborhood, my zip code, it'll open them up to like, well, what's really going on in the world,
What's really going
right?
on in the world. And the thing
So
is, you can't blame the people that are in uniform, because those that are in uniform are just doing their job. They're not behind the scenes
wow.
creating all of this stuff that goes on or stirring the pot. So that's what I'm trying to show in this, that you gotta look at the fact that it's just like you go to work and they tell you, hey, the price on bread went up $2. Well, you as the cashier, You don't have nothing to do with the price on bread going up $2, but you best believe them customers are going to yell at you about the price going up. And what do you say? I have nothing to do with that. But a
Right.
cop on the street can't really say, I have nothing to do with, your son being arrested. This is what they say. This is what it
Wow.
is.
Right.
So I want to bring some attention to that. That's some of the stuff that I want. I want people to be aware of, learn something while you're reading, even
Right.
though it's fictional, even though
Right.
it's a what if, even though it makes your mind wonder. Be aware what, like I said, what's your zip code? What's your zip code?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. I love that. So, can they go to your website that I have highlighted to get that book as
Yes, they can
well?
go to the website and get the book. I've even just even you have a peep at it. I even created a trailer for it. My first
Okay.
time, my first time creating a trailer, girl. I created the trailer, and it
Now, is
turned
that
out to
on that
be
website as well? The trailer's
yes.
on the website? Okay, perfect.
And it
And
turned
how can
and
they connect with
it
you on
turned out to
social
be,
media?
one of those things where I looked at it and said, "Oh my goodness!" In that 2 hours, you can
Right.
do a whole lot of creativity things with your books.
Absolutely. So, let me ask you this. What, how can they connect with you on social media?
Social media, I'm on Facebook and it's by my name. Or you can go to my fan page, which is author Nanette Buchanan. On Instagram, it's my name. On LinkedIn, it's my name. On Pinterest, it's my name. Everything is just my name. I didn't want to do the weird thing of changing my name because if I change my name, how they gonna find me? Now you gotta go through all of this other stuff. How they gonna find me? They know me as that. I'm like I said, I came out of a correctional facility of 3,000 or more officers. So with that type of following, no, just keep it the same. Just keep it the same. I'm not, trying to do a pseudonym and all of that other stuff. I don't need all of that. Just follow my name.
Amen. So, is there anything else that you want the Six Figure Authors Soundstage podcast to know about your book, about you, and about anything else?
Well, the only other thing that I would like to say is I too have a podcast, and it's called iPen Podcast Interviews and Conversations. And I would love to have your viewers, yourself, become a part of my podcast. And what I do is I do entrepreneurs, I do authors, I do business people, because what I want is I want a community that shares. I want a community that understands that the only way we become a community is to share. We have to share knowledge. We have to share what we know, what we do, and how we do it. It also rolls over to most of the people that have been on my podcast also sign up for my magazine, which is iPen Magazine. You get 2 pages of your article, part of your interview, other questions, and you also get a page to produce your product. What product are you selling? What event are you selling? What are you doing? So it's a quarterly magazine. However, that's 3 months of promotion for you. And it's not just 3 months of promotion for you because you're not the only one in the magazine. So that means you're touching another audience because you touch my audience, I touch your audience, we touch the other people that are in the magazine's audience for 3 months. I think it's an exceptional idea. And I'm looking forward to connecting on an international basis as well, coming the start of the year.
Nice. Congratulations. I
Mhm.
love that.
All in that two
Yes.
hours. All in that 2 hours. Work that 2 hours.
I love it.
Work that two
I
hours.
No, it's real. I love that you said that because there are a lot of authors I talked to even this week and last week, and the book signings and the speaking engagements I've been doing, and they want to be full time authors. They want to, but I'm like, I didn't start there. Like this, I'm at this Blacks in Government conference. Like I was literally working for the government. I was working, and not well, I was
Hmm.
contracting for the government at the time. I was writing my first book, but I maximized my evenings. I maximized my weekends so that I could
Exactly.
be where I am now. So you're right. It starts with 2 extra hours per day, and then maybe on the weekend you may put in 4 hours, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
you still have to, in some way, shape, or form, put that time in towards your business. Put that time in towards your entrepreneurship, your book, your marketing, your book, so that you
Mm-hmm.
can go to the next dimension and you don't stay stuck. You don't stay stagnant where a lot of authors are. They're like, well, first if they say they don't have time, then they say, oh, well, I don't know what to do. So now there's no excuse. I'm teaching you what to do, but now you have to make a
You have
decision
to
to
make it
make it
work.
work.
You
You
have to
have to
make it
make it
work.
work.
You have to make it's the same thing. It's the same concept as the teacher in the classroom. You
Wow.
teach 25 students.
Hmm.
All 25 students are not going to get an A. All
Wow.
25 students are not going to pass the grade.
Right.
All 25 students are not going to remember you when they become professionals.
Wow.
But you'll get two or three of those students that remember the lessons that you taught. They
My.
remember when they caught on. They'll
Right.
remember what they did. And those will be the ones that will excel. And every teacher wants all 25 to excel.
Right.
But the thing is, all 25 don't put in the work that's
Come on.
needed to excel. So if
Say
you want to
that
excel in
again.
your business and you want to excel in these podcasts offered by myself, offered by you, are a way to elevate to the next level. But you got to be ready when you elevate to the next level because you never know who's going to contact you and
Right.
say, "Are you ready to go to the next level?" You
Mm.
got to be ready and you got to be working. You got to
That's
be willing
good.
to work. Don't be lazy about your work. Don't be lazy about yourself.
The L word.
Yes,
I
yes,
love it. I love it. I love it. Don't be
yes,
lazy. Well, I so appreciate you, Nanette Buchanan, for coming on and sharing a little bit about your 15 books. I'm so excited
yes,
to even
yes, yes.
sponsor
I'm happy.
your
I'm happy
latest
about
book.
it. I'm
Yes,
happy.
August the 1st. Yeah, I mean, just
Yes.
your latest children's book, and you just keep putting them out and putting them out. And so I'm excited about your journey. I'm excited about you encouraging other authors. That's what this Six Figure Author Soundstage podcast is about. Is about encouraging other authors, other aspiring authors, readers, those
Yes.
that
And
want to
the
be
thing
heard.
about it is we can't be jealous of each other's plight. We can't look at it as, oh, she got a podcast. I ain't going on her podcast because I got a podcast.
Hmm.
No, it's not like that. We should be linking arms, chaining together, and pulling people
Absolutely.
along to get them to come to the level that they need to come to. It's all
Absolutely.
about community. It's all about getting it done because there are those that are out there to block us. There are
Right.
those that are out there to say, no, we don't want literacy.
Mm.
They're throwing books out in libraries, they're throwing books out in schools. They don't want the literacy to continue. So we
Hmm.
need to join arms and be together and make sure that we promote each other in what we do. We need to
Right.
do that. We need to
Right.
do that.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. Wow, wow, wow. Again, it was such a pleasure. If you are joining us again, thank you for joining us. Please give a thumbs up. Please share this with an author, an aspiring author you know. We want to appreciate Nanette for coming on and sharing on the Six Figure Author
No problem.
podcast. If you have a question, put it in the chat. If you have a question, real quick for Nanette before we end this podcast, before we end this live. Again, I'm coming to you live from the Tampa Convention Center, from the Blacks in Government 45th NTI, called the NTI, the National Training Institute, where I have did 2 workshops yesterday, and I've been selling my books all day today, and tomorrow we'll be closing out. But definitely, definitely, I don't see any questions in the chat yet. But if you have any questions, I'll make sure I get them to her. Make sure you follow her on social media. Make sure you go get a copy of some of her books, if not all of them. You know some children that need a gift. Christmas is gonna be coming up, and you're gonna need
Yes.
to get some books. So definitely, definitely, definitely connect with Nanette. And don't let this be the last time. If you are an author or an aspiring author, reach out to her so you can be featured on her podcast.
Mhm.
Again, we gotta support each other in different ways,
Exactly.
however we can support each other, and not just keep everything to ourselves. I love sharing, I love caring, and I love helping people. So again, we appreciate you coming on and sharing some strategies, some tips with authors and aspiring authors on how they can really get out there and not be lazy. I love it. And sell more books. So with that said, we are going to get ready to end the Six Figure Author Soundstage podcast. And just again, just stay connected, like, comment, share, and let's do this thing together. Let's go out.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
do it together and work together as a group, as a team, because guess what? Teamwork makes the dream work, and we don't
Hmm.
have to do it by ourselves. Each author can help each other author and help each other out. So, with that said, again, we are going to wrap up and we are going to end this live. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.